What's up YouTube? Heavy coming to you, Captain Awesome's Fish Room, Jeff Chroma's Brewvibe, bringing y'all a really cool video today. It's going to be the top 10 worst advice given in the freshwater aquarium hobby. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Kick back, get excited, because I'm excited to bring it to you. Let's go. Alright YouTube, so at number 10 of the worst advice that could be given inside the freshwater aquarium hobby is all puffers need brackish conditions to thrive. Now obviously that is bad advice because there are strictly freshwater puffers out there like the pea puffers you see in front of you and Fahaka puffers, Congo puffers. There are several species of puffer that are strictly freshwater animals, okay? And then putting them inside brackish water, you can actually harm them. So definitely the worst advice that can be given is all puffers require brackish conditions. Alright, so at number 9, live food is the best food for any carnivorous or pestivorous fish. Now, obviously, a lot of us know that live food is, or can be, pretty dangerous for, any fish, let alone the carnivorous fish. Now, there's the argument out there that, they eat live fish in the wild. Now, of course they do, okay? But those wild fish also have naturally occurring enzymes that, help them in digestion with those live animals, and they already have, some built-in immunities to some of the pathogens that can be carried in live food. Okay, so it's a little bit different inside of an aquarium environment. Now, when you're adding live food for your fish and you bought them from the pet store or something, of course, inside of aquarium conditions, you run the risk of introducing disease to your tank. We've all seen how feeder fish are kept at the pet store, and it's just not a pretty sight, so just don't do it. That's number 9 on the worst advice that can be given inside the freshwater hobby. Alrighty, number 8 is smaller tanks are easier to care for. That's probably one of the worst ones, but smaller tanks being easier to care for is with the misconception that it is small and there's less to do inside of the tank. Now, where this comes into play as worst advice that can be given is when you're a new hobbyist and you're setting up your first tank and you set up a small tank. Now, the margin for error is a lot smaller with a small tank because of the water volume inside of said tank. Okay, things can go wrong a lot faster inside of a small tank than inside of a larger one. Okay, so that's number 8 on the worst advice you can be given inside of the freshwater aquarium hobby. Small tanks are easier to care for. Alrighty guys, so number 7 is the inch per gallon rule. Now obviously there are some instances where the inch per gallon ordeal can come into play, but when you're talking with most fish that get over 3 to 4 inches, it's absolutely bad advice, okay? Because when you're looking at Mr. Big Rig here, my Parachromis dovi, this fish isn't even done growing and he's at or better than 14 inches. And going off the inch per gallon rule, he could be inside of a 15-gallon tank right now, which obviously does not make sense. Okay, so number 7 of the worst advice you can be given inside the freshwater aquarium hobby is the inch per gallon rule. Alrighty guys, so number 6 is fish will only grow to the size of the tank that they are being kept in. Okay, now the reason this is bad advice is because fish continually grow throughout their lives. They never stop growing. Now there are things like nitrate that can inhibit growth and slow it down drastically and cause some pretty bad mutations inside of your fish, causing deformations, bad illnesses, and overall just an unhappy, unhealthy fish. So, whenever you're getting a fish, don't go off the assumption that the fish will only grow to the size tank it's put in, okay? Always go with what the fish is generally accepted to grow at. So if you buy a Trimac or any other fish, look it up and see what the average adult size is of that fish and go accordingly with the size aquarium that they go in. Alright, coming in at number 5 for the worst advice that can be given inside the freshwater aquarium hobby is you have to go bare bottom for a lot of bottom feeding fish. Now, this comes into play when, say, like my bitcher back there goes up to eat a pellet of veggie krill by Southern Delight. Okay, now say that he gets a rock in his mouth and he actually swallows that rock. Now, some say that it can become compacted and actually cause the fish to die. Now, I'm not saying that this will never happen, but the likelihood of that fish not being able to pass something that it swallows is just, a little ridiculous, because in the wild, they don't have bare bottom, okay? And whenever they go to hunt for food, of course, every once in a while, they're going to swallow a small stone or a little bit of sand or dirt or something like that. And if that were the case, we wouldn't have a lot of the bare bottom fish to keep inside of the aquarium hobby, because they would be extinct if that was a real issue. Alright, so coming in at number 4 is clean absolutely everything completely when doing a water change. Now, the reason this is bad advice is because if you clean every single inch of this aquarium, including the filters, you're going to crash your tank and you're going to crash your nitrogen cycle, which is going to wreak havoc on your fish's immune system and overall health, which can cause it to die and, get sick and all that fun stuff. So whenever you're doing water changes, you should always do a gravel vac, or at least every other water change do a gravel vac, and clean your filters maybe once a month, and don't completely clean them. Just get all the gunk out of there so it can run at its highest efficiency. Alright, coming in at number 3 is that you can fully stock your aquarium once it has cycled. Okay? Now, the reason this is bad advice is because if you go and add a big bio load to a freshly cycled tank, you risk crashing it. Okay? So if you just recently had your tank cycle and you want to fully stock it, you want to put as many fish in there as you can, you're going to add a bio load that tank is not used to, and you're actually going to get another ammonia spike, another nitrite spike, and your nitrates are going to go high as well. So you run the risk of crashing your cycle, losing a bunch of fish, and having some pretty big problems. Alright, number 2 on the worst advice given inside of the aquarium hobby for freshwater is the best way to cycle an aquarium is with live animals. Now, not only is that cruel, but you also run the risk of spending much more money than you needed to begin with, because if you lose the animal that you tried to cycle that aquarium with, you're going to have to go out and get another one, or use a more humane way like using pure ammonia to cycle your system. So do not use live animals to cycle any aquarium, no matter how hardy those animals are. Alright, coming in at number 1 for the 10 worst advice given for the freshwater aquarium hobby is you only have to run a newly set up aquarium for 10 days before it's ready for fish. Absolutely bad advice. You get this a lot at the bigger chain stores and some of your less professional LFSs. You have to cycle a tank, and unless you're using a completely cycled filter or filter media, it's going to take much more than 10 days to cycle an aquarium to where it's ready and safe for live animals. Okay? So definitely do your research on the nitrogen cycle. I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. Go and check out Aquatic Support Systems on Facebook. You can ask all of your questions there or drop a comment below. I hope y'all enjoyed today's video, and we'll see y'all next time. This is what I'm doing. This is what I've done. Happy fish keeping, and stay true to the hobby. Peace out. This is Buttermilk. He eats the Southern Delight Power Feed. He is pushing the 9 to 10 inch mark. He is a sun or eclipse catfish. I'll put the scientific name inside the description, but his name is Buttermilk. You can see that Micro Machine beat him up a little bit. Tough fish though. Tough fish. Hope y'all enjoyed the bonus footage. Peace out!